What you know of a person is what you see of their actions. It's a snapshot, but it's not the whole picture.
I am the sound of love's arriving.
That's how I see a vid compared with the Vidder.
Lay your head upon my shoulder, lay your hand within my hand. I give you all that I am.
There's always some overlap, but it's never the whole story.
And I breathe the way you breathe.
I grew up watching Chinese TV shows, which have really long song-length credit sequences. I especially love shows in the wuxia genre, which is a sort of martial arts, quasi-historical, quasi-fantasy genre. I read a lot of wuxia books and fantasized about adapting them into shows, and I would imagine the clips and the music that I'd use. In hindsight, that's how I got into vidding. I'm Chinese. I've vidded Chinese source to English songs, I've vidded non-Chinese source to Chinese songs, and I've vidded Chinese source to Chinese songs. It's just a grab bag of whatever works. I think gender, race, class are all really interesting concepts to explore. But I explore them when I want to. I'm not trying to fill a quota here. I vid what I like. I vid what I think is interesting. A lot of the time that means white men, because I empathize with them.
Reels like a string, rings like a scholar. Drown in this town, you can feel for $1. Since when were you bitten?
I'm not a fan of coming back with addendums or a different take on the same topic. That's why I rarely vid the same ship or character twice. I get a lot of inspiration from professional music videos. I love Jonathan Glazer, who directed a lot of Radiohead's videos. Chris Cunningham is another director who I really respect. His videos are always interesting in the sense that they're edited like Vidder vids, with a lot of attention to audio and visual sync. I credit Cornchild for turning me onto added motion. It's fascinating how much emotional impact can be created by just a small zoom. Creatively, at one point I felt like I was hitting a dead end because I was in a community where editing was incredibly sharp and incredibly beautiful, but where interpretation tended to stick to canon. I realized that vidding doesn't have to purely follow canon narratives.
It's between you and me, like the hand that
I could try to read deeper. I could try to read in a wider context.
You want a piece of me, you want a piece of me. You want a piece of me.
It surprises me when people tell me my vid said something new to them conceptually, because I wasn't aware I was seeing it so differently. Incest is generally bad. Is that news to anyone?
the way they targeted the students. I gallop off, whistling Ohio. The rest of them stuck doing stand-up at a cricket convention. Who would they die for?
I'm particularly interested in conflicts of core values, like class struggles in Battlestar.
I saw that clever ad campaign ain't worth the time taken for minimum wage labor. I don't care how half naked or fake she looks. She smells like dirty cash and aged paper books. Who would she die for? Slow down, Gandhi, you're killing them. Slow down, Gandhi, you're killing them.
I'm an effigy, a parody of who I appear to be.
I think vidding can be art. More importantly, I think vidding should be art. I think as soon as the vidder deviates in any way from showing the canon as it stands, that's when it starts to be art for me. Whether it's art is a different question to whether it's good or bad art. I enjoy entering vidding awards and running my own. It's subjective, but so is a lot of other things in life, and I'm happy to buy into that, while acknowledging that others might not agree. I love the epic slash vid, and I think that's my signature as a vidder. I'm obsessed by the notion of platonic love as Plato had meant it. A love between two men that's elevated and noble and about making each other better men, above and beyond lust or romance. These two men have to turn out equal in stature and in power, and they're constantly driving each other toward greatness. I love the scope and the sense of constantly reaching for greatness. I use external source to extend and support context where you know the story is bigger than what you see. A lot of the time, external source conveys something that did happen in canon, just not on screen. The show Carnival is set up to culminate in the Trinity bomb test. It got cancelled before that happened, but that lack of source can be circumvented with external source. When I was writing fic, I wrote virtual endings for shows that had been cancelled. Similarly, in vidding, I often try to fill in the gaps. I don't tend to deviate wildly from canon, I just try to show what didn't happen right in front of you. I have three kinds of vids. The big vid, the weekend vid, and the other vid. The big vid is the Jesus for the jugulars and the climbing up the walls. It's sweat and tears and high concept and meta and betas and a lot of frustration. The weekend vid is kind of the opposite. No betas, no real concept, just throwing clips on the timeline hoping that the pacing fits. Sometimes they're surprisingly popular and I never feel deserving of that because it came together so easily. The other vid are the ones that fall somewhere in between. It's just a good time to take inventory and build on learning experiences.
And love's a raven when it flies.
I get feedback which indicate that I skew intellectual and detached and maybe don't come across emotional enough. It's hard to gauge from my own perspective because I thought I felt things. In true robot form, I'm currently attempting to boil emotional responses down to a science. Is it wrong that I'm consciously trying to manipulate emotional responses through a technique? I like to understand my own process. I don't like to treat creativity as something mystical, like a lightning bolt brought down by the hand of God.
You don't know, won't